Good morning, all. Over the last year or two, we've seen the Irish reacting to the importation and the flooding, the plantation of Ireland by men from all corners of the globe, or the plane, if you're that way inclined, right? And while it's important to highlight these things, it's more important that we recognise the source of these things, and that is those criminals that are in the Irish government at the moment. Again, if we put ourselves in their position, so they're sitting in the Dáil in their homes with their security, the police, all that lovely stuff surrounding them in a bubble, right? So there's a gap, there's a protection gap between them and everything else, right? Symbolised perfectly or demonstrated perfectly by the fencing around the Dáil, right? When there's protests around. Bang, barricade, not coming anywhere near. But a lot of those people are Irish, and their instincts and their allegiance to themselves, their family, and maybe the extended Irish people, the extended Irish family, might be questionable, or it might not stand the test of worse events that may come, if it has stood already, okay? So if I was the politicians, if I was evil and I was doing terrible things to the Irish people, which is what is being done, I would be looking to set up as big a barricade between myself and those whose lives I'm destroying, right? That does not need to be just fences or guards or soldiers or whatever it is. It can also be an ideological buffer, which means if you can influence the protesters' perspective and you can funnel the aggression and the agitation in them towards something else, slightly related to what's going on, but not at the source, would you do that? Of course you would. Self-preservation above all else, right? So, over the last year or two, we've seen protests at these plantation centres. We've seen protests against companies that are facilitating this. And all the while, the government are sitting back clapping their hands going, they're falling for it, lads. Because what this leads to is 20% of the Irish population are foreign born. Or born here, but they're foreign people, right? And so, if you have 20%, that's that's 2 in every 10 people, right? 1 in every 5. You have the grounds there for deep ethnic conflict, because some of that 20% of people might have been here for 20, 30 years and they consider this their home. They don't have to consider themselves Irish, but for this point, they consider this their home. And as all people who find themselves in a home that might be under threat, they're going to fight to retain their home, okay? So a few of Irish people that are whose energy and attention is getting siphoned into just immigrants, just foreign people, and we just oppose foreign people, you're falling into a trap. You're falling into a trap. It's perfectly legitimate to point out these centres and say, we don't want them. The centres themselves, irrelevant to who goes in there. Irrelevant to who goes in there. If Clonmel decide to import hundreds and hundreds of people from Mayo and dump them into the middle of a housing estate in Clonmel, into camps or modular homes that are being designed specifically for Mayo people, and Clonmel people are dying on the streets of overdoses and dying on the streets of just sheer exhaustion and homelessness in the town, right? Clonmel people would oppose that. Rightfully so. And Mayo people would oppose hundreds and hundreds of Clonmel people getting imported into Mayo and being given preferential treatment over the Mayo people. Perfectly legitimate. This isn't crazy. This isn't filled with hate. This is a biological reality. Territory and proximity. Find me a war that wasn't started or didn't result from territory and proximity of different peoples. Right? So, I get back to this now. Our main trust, those who want to preserve the life of Irish people and the continuation of our generations, Our focus needs now to move to the source of this problem, which is this government. And Leo Varadkar, who legged it, he told you what he's up to. He told you what this whole government is up to. Remember, just because he's gone doesn't mean anything changes. Him and everyone else in that Dáil, bar a couple of people, Carol Nolan especially, have supported what's going on here, and they continue to do so. Sinn Féin are coming out now and they're flying their kite of we're with the Irish people now, and what's their solution to all this? Economics, of course, because they're Marxists. That's all they see. Economics. Production, services, state control, economy. That's it. They don't vouch for the Irish people, nor do the Irish people vouch for them anymore, which is a great thing to see. So it looks like they're shifting their perspective when they're not. They're not. They're just saying, we need more services. You could sing that from the rooftops before any foreign toe stepped foot in this country, on this land. Of course we need services. We don't just need services. Where do they come from? We need this government to stop spending our money on stuff that we don't need. Right? They're stealing our lives, they're stealing our money, and they're spending it on stuff that is absolutely detrimental to the longevity of our lives and to the Irish people's existence as a whole. So Leo Varadkar, he came out and said it. The managerial structures in the state and across the board in the country are too white. And there's a process being implemented to kind of effectuate change there, or affect change there, right? Illegal. Illegal. That is the definition of racial discrimination. You can stick any kind of bows you want on that, but that is the definition of racial discrimination. And this was from, at the time, the leader of this country, the highest elected office in this country, right, in government. And that's what he's telling you. There's too many of ye Irish people in good jobs. We need to get ye out. The middle class is still there. We need to crush that. We need everyone just looking for the next breadcrumb and just existing to get the next dinner and pay the bills and back to work and no time to think about anything else. And if we need to get rid of the Irish people out of all good jobs, managerial positions where they're making nice money and their jobs are safe, then we will do that, because that will crush the Irish ability to fight back. It's not going to stop it. But it'll certainly go a long way towards pulling people into just day-by-day struggle of existence. So we need to focus on this government, because there's blatant examples of them engaging in illegal activity. And they try and force these rules onto you and force you to adhere to them when they're sitting in the Dáil telling you, we're not doing that. We're going to find all the Irish people in these managerial positions and we're getting you out for brown people, for different foreign nationals. He said this in the Dáil. You can go and watch the video. Illegal. Okay? This is a while ago again, but he just let the cat out of the bag, I suppose, because he's feeling bold enough and confident enough that Irish people won't do anything, that he can come out and say this. Crazy stuff. Or he's been told to say it more than likely. But that's where we are. Attention now needs to go to the government and putting a case together. Get all of these little instances. The Leo video of him saying that the people in the positions are too white, and also even the COVID thing when he was saying, oh, other countries weren't just anyone that showed up that looked like it might be COVID. They weren't just saying it was COVID. They were actually maybe doing tests. We just said it was COVID. So you gave a medical diagnosis without a sufficient test for that diagnosis. Medical fraud. And the subsequent policies that are built on the back of that. Illegal. Right? Do you uphold the law? Probably. Do you think all other people should uphold the law as well? Yeah. Well, that applies to government officials too. Right? Illegal stuff. We need to compile all of these instances and get them together. Because regardless of what happens with this, they're hoping Ireland enters into ethnic conflict that goes on for decades. And in decades in the future, they're long gone. And then different people of the same ilk will come back and resume the same wheel, right? We need to have these things ready. Because there'll be moments where we have to move. And there'll be moments and opportunities where things like this can come to the fore. And we need to have it ready.